Shalom and welcome to this very special edition of Ezra International's It's All About the Aliyah. This is a special edition because we're going to focus completely on Yom HaShoah, or better known as Holocaust Remembrance Day. The day or the time when 6 million Jewish people were slaughtered simply for the crime of being Jewish. And we're here to say at Ezra International that we can do something about it. We can make never again a reality and not just a slogan. That's right, we will never forget. Could you imagine if there had been an Ezra International and donors like you who had been around in the 30s and 40s? What a difference we could have made in getting Jewish people out of Europe and out of Nazi Germany. But there was no Ezra International back then, and there was only a handful of righteous Gentiles who had the courage, who risked it all to save the lives of Jewish people. Not nearly enough, obviously. You know, I've been a Israel advocate, a Jewish Israel advocate for many years, and I can think of no better way to help Jewish people and to make never again a reality than to get Jewish people out of harm's way, get them out of these notoriously anti-Semitic countries that they're living in currently. You know, last season I did a complete episode regarding the events that happened at Babi Yar. I incorporated my own testimony, the things that happened to me as a child and as I grew up and became an adult, how those experiences intertwined with this place called Babi Yar. But I also told the story of one of the sole survivors of the horrific events that occurred at Babi Yar. You can find that episode on Israel TV Network. It's all about the Aliyah. It's called Babi Yar, appropriately. You can go there, and I implore you to go and watch that episode as well as watching this one. But now I'm going to show an episode or a video that was made by our friends and co-workers in Ukraine at Babi Yar. And I think that it's compelling, and I want to share it with you now.
Every year, on September 29, in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, many people come to this place. Modern youth, elderly people, people of different nationalities and religions. They come together to honor the memory and to remind the world of the terrible tragedy that took place in Kyiv during the Second World War. After the retreat of the Soviet troops, hundreds of thousands of inhabitants remained in the city, destroyed and occupied by the Nazis. 2,000 announcements were posted in Kyiv early in the morning on September 28. All Yids of the city of Kyiv and its neighborhoods should appear on Monday, September 29, 1941, at 8 o'clock in the morning at the corner of Melnikova and Dykterevska streets. Take with you your documents, money, and valuables, as well as warm clothes, lingerie, and more. If any of the Yeats do not comply with this order and will be found elsewhere, they will be shot. The day after the announcement, thousands of Jews reached the specified address. None of these people suspected what fate was destined for them. This is the place of the greatest crime of the 20th century. It is known in the world as Babi Yar. Here, on the outskirts of the city, over 100,000 people, most of whom were Jews, were executed by fascists. Every year, on September 29, thousands of people take this walk of grief to honor the memory of the innocent victims. People come to this memorial park every day.
I love to come here, to come in order to reflect on the meaning of life, on the value of each day of our lives. This place is saturated with tears and blood.
Roman Korniko is the director of a Christian orphanage, Father's House. Roman's grandfather was awarded the title Righteous Among the Nations. This is the name of people who, at risk of their own lives, saved Jews from Nazi persecution. During the war, Roman's grandfather hid 5 Jewish children in his home, risking being shot along with his large family.
Hundreds of thousands of people came here, and among them were many children. And look, here is one story about 2 little girls. None of them thought that their life could end so tragically. Dad and Mom dreamed about their children the way we dream about you, thinking about who you will become and what could be changed in this world thanks to you. When the war began, the father of these girls went to the front. Mom worked in a hospital that was transferred behind the front lines to another city. And the girls did not know that their parents were in the army. They wrote letters to their parents. Dear Mommy, what are you doing there? How are you, Mommy?
Dear Mommy, I kiss you tight. How do you like your city? Do you feel good there? Grandpa set up a desk for me. I am very pleased with it. Is it cold or warm there, Mommy? It is warm here. Auntie Berta and I had a walk at the Golden Gate Garden. Every day we drink 2 teaspoons of fish oil. We don't go to kindergarten. Stay healthy, kiss you tight, Aliyah.
The girl's mother could read these letters only after the war, when she returned from the front to liberated Kiev. These letters were kept by their neighbor. 6-year-old Malvina and 5-year-old Polina and their grandparents were shot at Babi Yar.
Can you imagine? They were only 5 and 6 years old. Look at them. They are so beautiful, smiling. They look so happy here. They are such sweethearts. It's hard to believe that someone could raise his hand to them, and still they couldn't see their mom. These children have not seen life yet, and this thought, it just blows your mind. Brains cannot accommodate this.
Several thousand children, just like Polina and Malvina, were shot in Babi Yar.
So many children were murdered here. So many destinies were destroyed here. They could have changed the world and become outstanding doctors, scientists, politicians, who could have saved others. But they were mercilessly killed. A lot of dreams and hopes were buried here. And it hurts to think about it. Many other children could have been born from these kids. There could have been so many good, beautiful families. But there weren't. All of this possibility was cruelly killed in the bud. This toy symbolizes a lost childhood. We bought this truck and want to leave it here and put flowers in reverence.
Той народ, який не має пам'яті,
A nation that has no memory has no future.
Дорогая мамочка, мы были в кино. Dear Mommy, we were at the cinema. The film Thunderstorm was sad and I didn't like it. Grandmother promised us that she would go to the circus with us if we behaved well. Your daughter, Malvina.
Babi Yar was only one of the many tragic, horrific events during the Holocaust. It is important to keep sharing these events and to determine never again. We cannot change the past, but we can make changes in the present and for the future. Sadly, there are still Jewish people in the world today who suffer from anti-Semitism. Ezra International is helping Jewish people from 4 corners of the earth return to Israel, a place where they can live freely as Jews. Will you help us in this task?
Will you help us in this task? That's what this program is made for, to help raise awareness of the plight of the Jewish people still today. I've been to Ukraine many, many times, and I've stood by those trenches that still exist in Babi Yar. They may be overgrown, but the memory exists, and the blood of the Jewish people slaughtered there is crying out to God. I told you in my episode Babi Yar that it was here that motivated me to adopt the words of Imri Bathory, a righteous Gentile, who said, "When I stand before God on Judgment Day, I will not be asked the question posed to Cain, 'Where were you when your brother's blood was crying out to God?'" You know, it was also in my often trips to Ukraine that I met many of our representatives over the years. Our representatives doing this work today, they are the righteous Gentiles of today. They are doing the work on the ground that we are helping support. My job mostly is to raise funds for them, but they do the work every day, day in and day out, tirelessly, and without complaining. They don't feel themselves as heroes. They're just doing what I call the miraculous within the mundane, because they're helping Jewish people with their documents and with transportation, and all these things add up to saving lives, getting them out of harm's way, getting them out of anti-Semitic countries and home to Israel. As I said, this is the most practical thing that we can do. It is the best way of making never again a reality and not just a slogan. Also in my travels, I had an opportunity to go to Poland and visit Auschwitz-Birkenau. As you can see on the screen right now, pictures of this camp. I flew into Warsaw and took the train down to Krakow. And one of the things that I immediately became very aware of, conscious of, was this railway path, at least, maybe not the original tracks, but this pathway was the same pathway that potentially tens of thousands of Jewish people rode the last time of their lives. They rode to their deaths, heading toward this extermination camp. And something that happened on the way down and repeated itself in a more dramatic fashion on the way back was the sound of those rail joints as the train passed over them. Bum, 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 just seared into my memory as I listened to them, as I contemplated the journey that I was on. and I'll come back to that in a moment. As I arrived in Krakow, we spent the night and then drove out to the camp the next day. And when we pulled up to the camp, I did not expect to see tour buses at this camp. I wasn't thinking tourist attraction, but of course the camp is there and preserved for the reason of getting people there and making them aware of the events that happen there. And after I got over the shock of seeing tour buses, began to make observations, and it was young people getting off of the buses. They were on a school field trip, teenagers. Very good place to be educated. Initially, these young people were laughing and talking loudly and joking around, not fully, I think, comprehending where they were and what they were about to experience. That quickly changed as they entered into the camp, and especially as I walked by myself through the camp and was observing a lot of things. But one of the things I was observing was the young people's reaction. And as they got back toward the back of the camp to the ruins of the gas chambers, the mood became quite decidedly somber and almost reverent, and rightly so. Things changed. The young people were hearing what had gone on in this place, and it was making an impact. And I wish that all of our young people could experience this, so they would understand not to take things for granted, and also to understand the severity and the reality of what happened here. The fact that human beings are capable of such things, and the fact that it is necessary that people like us not only speak up, but do something about this type of atrocity if it were ever to happen again, but especially the fact that we can prevent it from happening again by getting Jewish people home to Israel. One of the things that I observed as I walked into the camp was the size. It was enormous. It was, inescapable that this was premeditated. The reality, it was premeditated. I've heard people, apologists for Adolf Hitler, saying he had no choice. He was forced into it because no other country would take the Jewish people. I don't buy that. Adolf Hitler knew, by the fact that no other country would take Jewish people, is that nobody cared. And it just confirmed that he could get away with the plans that he had, plans that were in the making for many, many years prior to these events. And the sheer size, it was inescapable that these events were so premeditated. Unlike Babi Yar, where it was crude, so to speak, they were pits, and tragically human beings were slaughtered by machine gun fire there. But whereas Auschwitz and Birkenau, this was a well-oiled machine, a executing machine. Everything in this camp was set up for, if you weren't working, of course, there was crude accommodations, plywood benches that people would lay on, crowded, packed into them. But most of them would end up going to their death. And the gas chambers, and then later you had the crematoriums. This was humanity at its worst. And as I traveled from Auschwitz over to the camp next door, Birkenau, as you can see the gate there that says in German, "Work will make you free." The ruse was kept up to the very end for most of the Jewish people who thought that they were just prisoners who were going to work their way through the war. Most did not know that they were going to die, at least initially. And as I walked through those buildings that are still very well preserved, I found the the remains, the belongings to the almost 1 million Jewish people who died in this camp, the suitcases, eyeglasses, the shoes, especially the children's shoes. They just jump out at me as I looked into that window and saw the thousands upon thousands of shoes piled on top of one another, and those little tiny shoes of the children who perished there. And then the human hair that had been collected from men, women, and children. I had a visceral reaction. At one point I could no longer stay in these buildings. I had to get outside. I couldn't breathe anymore. This stands as a stark reminder of the brutality, the horrific events that took place here. And I did not need any more motivation to do what I do. But the level of motivation, the extra motivation that I left there with, will carry me for the rest of my life. I was already motivated to do what we do, to help our representatives and our volunteers that are hands-on helping Jewish people escape anti-Semitism, to make you, our audience, aware of these things. That is what I will do for the rest of my life, so that you too have an opportunity to help, to join in this work, to get Jewish people out of harm's way. When I returned onto those railroad tracks on my way home, I told you I would return to this story. I left the camp very emotional, having experienced all that what I saw there, what I felt there. I boarded that train and we headed back to Warsaw. And once again, as I closed my eyes with emotions raw and my memory still very, very, very raw of what I saw, I heard that sound, boom, 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 of the railroad tracks, and it stayed with me. It stayed with me to this day, but especially as I got home and I found myself a few days later attending our district council, the council, the yearly meeting of the movement that I belong to here in the state of Florida. And as usual, as I had grown to expect, not one word was spoken during those days' events of the obligation that we as Gentile Christians have to our Jewish brothers and sisters. The obligation that Paul spoke of as saying that, they've given so much to us spiritually that we owe them with our material goods. They've given us the Word of God. They've given us our Messiah. And they paid a dear price, a tragic price, for being the people of God, the chosen people. And I began to get frustrated and it became emotional once again. And as we broke from the business and began a time of praise and worship, I closed my eyes to contemplate these things. Because believe me, I have tried to get the attention of my peers and leadership. In fact, I even wrote our district superintendent after this event and did not receive a response from my letter. But as I closed my eyes and listened to the music start to play, the praise song went into this very repetitive refrain, and then the drums were bum 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 bum, and I almost began to weep, thinking, are we doing it again? Are we turning up the sound of the music to drown out the voices, as those in the 40s did in the churches, as those trains went by their churches and they sang louder to drown out the voices of Jewish people crying out for help? and there was almost no one who came to their aid. You see, Christianity had been conditioned. The Christians of Europe had been conditioned by the teachings of the fathers of the faith, so-called. And it's not just the Catholic faith and the Catholic fathers who taught replacement theology and were very anti-Semitic. The Protestant world is also culpable. You see, Martin Luther became a vehement anti-Semite, and his book, The Jews and Their Lies, again, conditioned all of Europe for 400 years prior to the Holocaust, with words like the Jewish people should not be allowed, the rabbis should not be allowed to teach, and their books should be burned, and their synagogues destroyed, burned, and what doesn't burn, bury. And that the Jewish people should be forced to work by the sweat of their brow. Well, those practices went into full swing in the Holocaust. Hitler and the Nazis put this into practice. Every word of Martin Luther's anti-Semitic words were put into practice, deadly practice during the Holocaust. And so I'm here to say our generation needs to be different. Our generation needs to make a difference. And we need to hear those words never again, not as a slogan, but as a call to action. God bless you, and shalom.